Fantasy and Some Flights, exploring the realms of beer, board games, books, and bourbon.
Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy and Some Flights podcast. I'm Nelson.
I'm Dalton.
And today we are kicking off a brand new series of the show. Yeah, right? So I don't think we've actually ever done this before. So
I know, I was trying to think about coming into this. I was like, how many series or themes have we done, Right. And we'll have overarching, we'll do book analysis episodes that are kind of the same idea or whatever. And we did we kind of did the mechanics at the beginning where we explored deck building and,
right,
games and stuff.
Yeah. But this is kind of one that actually have a common thread all tied through them, and it's all about game design. Yeah. And so we're talking to different designers and different aspects of game design and kind of what goes into it, how they've approached it, and just kind of talking to people in the space. And so I'm really excited for it. I think that we're going to gain a lot of insight into it and kind of see a side that we don't normally get to see when we're just have a piece of cardboard on the table, right? There's a lot of passion went into that.
For sure. Yeah, it's a little behind the curtain. And I think especially for, folks like us who analyze, game design is always in the back of your head, right? We joked about, in our first episode about Game of Thrones and how, it was one of our favorite games, but we had an improvement,
Yeah.
We had a house rule that we thought was a good mechanical improvement, and then in the expansion they implemented it because
they listened
to our podcast, right? And they took our advice. But I think a lot of people do this, right? As you start to get more into the hobby, you sort of pick up on elements of game design, and you're I think this would be better if it was done this way, or I really like this about this game. And so I'm excited for this series, been looking forward to it. And we've had our own ideas, right? We've thrown out ideas for games that never really gotten anywhere off the ground besides just kind of quick ideas being thrown out. And it's fun, but it's fun to talk about, right? I'm thinking this will add a little bit more meat to that, a little more context to it, which is cool.
So starting out for the first episode, we have Johnathan and Mackenzie from TerreDice. It's a YouTube channel. They're going to join us and talk about what goes into pre-Kickstarter design as they're getting ready to launch their first Kickstarter ever.
Yeah.
And so
this is a cool one because it's Johnathan and Mackenzie, they're two people, right?
Yeah.
They're just two folks. They're young folks, a young couple. And it's not so this isn't, we're not talking to Asmodee or something, right? Some big company that rolls out games on the regular. These are folks just like you and I who have kind of got a passion for it, got an idea, and have started to walk through and are leading up to a Kickstarter. So it's a really cool story, and I'm excited to get into it with them.
Absolutely. So without further ado, let's talk to them. Alrighty, so we have Johnathan and Mackenzie here from TerreDice Games. How are you all doing? Thank you for coming on.
Hey,
we're doing great. Good. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's exciting to see you here. We've connected a little bit over some of the conventions, and then Johnathan, we went to school together, and so it's just kind of weird. We saw each other on, I saw you on Facebook at one point when you were promoting TerreDice, and I was like, wait a second, I know him.
Well, weren't you promoting Fantasy and weren't you watching Fantasy and Some Flights?
I was already following Fantasy and Some Flights on Instagram. And I'm like, yeah, these are great photos, but you guys never posted your faces on those pictures. So
that's funny.
Yeah, and then I started reading and I was like, Dalton and Nelson, those are very uncommon names to be paired together.
Yeah. It was just a weird coincidence, but we are so excited to have you on. Happy to have you here talking about TerreDice, talking about your new game coming out. I'm excited to hear more about that, and then also talking about kind of the design process of what goes into getting a game ready for Kickstarter. But as tradition, before that, let's talk about what's on our flights. We're going to start with Dalton, then we'll hop down to you all, and then I will finish us off. Dalton, what's on your flight?
All right, so I'm drinking tonight. Fighting 69th, which is something that you're going to comment on, but it's named for an Irish unit basically. This is an Irish whiskey, and it comes across like an Irish whiskey. It's very smooth throughout. It has some nice banana notes up front in the nose, and then it's just really balanced. So it has a little bit of sweet, a little bit of smoke, a little bit of heat. It comes back to we talked early on in the podcast about Jameson and how it was something that I would order at a bar all the time, just because Irish whiskeys are always easy to drink, and this one's in that rank. So I picked it up for I think it was in like the $30 price point, like 30 to 35.
That's not bad.
Yeah, so pretty approachable price point. But what I've been really enjoying just to have on the shelf and pull off on an evening where I'm just relaxing kind of thing. So
Very nice.
whiskey. Yeah.
Alrighty, going in counterclockwise order on the Zoom screen, down to Johnathan and Mackenzie. What's on your flight tonight?
In normal times, I love drinking whiskey, and I'm a big margarita gal, frozen margarita.
Very nice.
But yes, but tonight I am having a milkshake from Shake Shack because I won't be able to drink for about another 6 months because I'm pregnant.
Ooh, yay!
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. So milkshake for me. It's a chocolate milkshake, and it is has a nice chocolatey, smooth flavor from the local Shake Shack New York burger joint we went to before this podcast started.
It sounds delicious, honestly. It really does.
I am joining in solidarity. I have a Oreo milkshake from Shake Shack. It is a classic from their menu. It's like $4.69. And it's pretty great. Honestly, what's nice about it is when Oreos get like cold and refrigerated and soggy, that's when I like them best. Like I don't like them so crunchy.
They're so good. I think in the milkshake war, I have to side with Johnathan on this one. I love me an Oreo milkshake.
Just drop your Oreo in a glass of milk and put it in the fridge for like an hour.
Yep.
And then you eat it.
Excellent.
Is this walking distance joint for you guys?
Yeah.
It was a last
Natural
minute
History
decision.
Museum.
I think pregnancy hormones hit, and I was like, "Ooh, Shake Shack."
Well,
been on this kick of like
congratulations.
singing
Thank you so
I don't know if you've ever seen VeggieTales before. There's a song, the cheeseburger song. Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
It's
No.
ridiculous. But I don't know. We just like remembered that it was a thing a couple days ago, and have just been like singing it nonstop. He's singing about like his cheeseburger, and that's I think why we went to Shake Shack subliminally.
It's a dangerous habit to be in for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, congratulations, y'all. It's an exciting time for the TerreDice family.
Yes, we're working on 2 Kickstarters.
Two, yeah. Nice. And then this is the first podcast that I am recording in the new house since the move. This will not be the first one that we've released, but I went out and got a local Cincinnati beer from Rheingeist, who I think I've had on the podcast before, or at least my wife has. She had Bubbles, I think, from Rheingeist. But this is Hustle by Rheingeist, and it's an Indiana Pale Ale. It's an India Pale Ale.
Nice.
So it's good. I mean, if it was not a Cincinnati beer, I don't know if I'd buy it again. So
I've had a ton from Rheingeist just because of family in Cincinnati, and it's like one of the biggest in the area. And it's pretty. Their like packaging's really recognizable, right? It's just like big prime colors on the whole like can, and like that's it. It's like this is the orange one or whatever.
Yep.
But,
yep. This is the baseball one. If anyone's wondering it.
Nice.
The baseball. So
So you have to embrace
a Reds fan.
Yeah, you have to embrace the Cincinnati culture.
Exactly.
Eat chili and watch baseball.
Yeah. So TerreDice. So what is TerreDice? Talk to me about TerreDice. How did it start, and what is it?
Yeah, so TerreDice Games is made up of Johnathan and I, and we started it as 2 years ago, and we started it as a YouTube channel. So we are currently doing we release YouTube videos every single week covering all types of board games. We specialize in, and we're probably most known for couple games, and then Disney games as well. Like we're really popular with like Villainous and stuff like that. Yeah.
Lots of 2-player, popular IP, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But we started it in the middle of the pandemic. And what most people don't know is it was actually our game, which we're talking about today, came first. So we started designing that at the beginning of the pandemic. It was like this crazy idea because we were both stuck inside. I'm a musical theater performer, and we didn't like the musical theater world had shut down. And Jonathan's like, remember that board game I always wanted you to design with me? So I was like, I have time now. But yeah, so we started kind of TerreDice Games, the YouTube channel, like to like get people to know who we are, but it's kind of fallen into this huge passion of ours, and it's just as important as the board game that we're designing. And yeah, we love it. So.
Well, that's really exciting. Yeah, I know Dalton and I have talked, like we started about 2 years ago, right around the same time. And it's just like kind of what it's grown into, and the community that surrounds the board game space is nothing that we ever imagined.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It's really great to be a part of that. So with the YouTube channel, like what has been the most surprising or the most exciting thing that's come out of this 2-year journey?
One thing, I guess, I think it's made us much better designers, because we played so many games, and then with reviewing them, we also have to think well, we like this, but why do I like it? And it really going into design and stuff like that. And I think the people that we've met along the way too.
Yeah, that's been huge. And it's what sets, when we play those games, there are so many games that we play, and it's I liked it. It was good. But what sets them apart? And for us, a lot of the time, it's the theme. The theme kind of always trumps. If 2 games have the same mechanics, if we like the theme better, it's we'll always go for the one with the better theme. And so it's how can we make a game that has a theme that draws people in and is a lot of fun to play, kind of both mechanically too.
Yeah.
But that's kind of been a lot of our driver.
Yeah, I had to say also another one is how supportive just the board game community is, and we've been able to meet people. Johnathan and I did this on a whim and really didn't know that many people in the community, but now we have friends, it seems from all over the world that we've met through board gaming, and we're able to play with them online, and now we're starting to get to meet them in person, and it's just been great. It's a whole nother community that's opened up to us that we really love.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's really cool that you sort of started the game design beforehand and fell into a supporting hobby that's helped with it, because I have had that same feeling of like you said, what do I like about this game? And then also man, this game would be so much better if X was different, and just having those types of conversations over and over, it starts to key into these skills that you've developed in board game design, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Most people don't know that. Most people think the channel came first, but yeah.
The channel's been around, and this Bark Avenue, the game.
Well, yeah, definitely the channel.
It was a sleeper.
Bark Avenue has been an underground secret. Yeah.
Which kind of goes to show how much work and how much passion you've put into this project. And so we kind of flirted with it enough. Let's just dive into it. Let's talk about Bark Avenue. So Bark Avenue is coming to Kickstarter in just a couple of days from the release of this podcast. Dating ourselves just a little bit, but talk to me about this game. I've seen it, but I want to let the experts talk about it, and then I want to talk, kind of what I've play tested it. I don't want to brag or anything, but
yeah. And speaking of that, Nelson's name will be on one of the side panels as one of our play testers, so that's really exciting.
Go team!
Jealous.
So do you want to give the summary?
Yeah. So Bark Avenue is a competitive dog walking game on the streets of New York City. Mechanically, it is a pick up and deliver game and route optimization game, sort of like a hand management game too, kind of what's in front of you. But you're going to be walking probably multiple dogs at once, and you're going to be trying to take them around and doing their favorite activities, playing fetch, stuff like that, and trying to walk dogs to make the most money. So it's definitely a fast-paced game where you got to be thinking on your toes. The environment around you is changing every turn. Are there new dogs you want to walk? Is the subway closed? You can't enter Central Park because the marathon's happening. There's lots of different challenges that kind of make that really fun. And we're really proud of it. I think it's really fun. And it's Gateway Plus is roughly what we're going for. So plus. Plus. If you played Ticket to Ride Europe, and then tried to speed play it, maybe like that.
Yeah.
But it plays out about 15 minutes per player when you're playing 2, 3, 4, 5 players. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah. Where'd this idea come from?
Yeah. So I am a former New York City dog walker. So that was definitely drawn from a lot of inspiration from that. So we tried to make it as realistic as possible. But I think what kind of sparked it is we started designing. Johnathan came up with the original concept right before we got our dog, Emma, who we got during the beginning of the pandemic. So we were thinking a lot about dogs, and then me as a dog walker. And I think that's what really drove this concept of the game.
And one of our favorite games we were playing around that time, I think it was just shortly after, was Calico. And we're there are so many cat games, and how many dog games are there? Yeah, we were ready to make a dog game. Yeah.
That is actually hilarious and something I've never really thought about. There really aren't that many dog games out there.
No.
I don't know what that's about, but I guess
don't know how
board
you,
gamers just gravitate towards cats.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Which, of the two, is easily the harder pet to have if you're a consistent board gamer. Right? Like,
True. Very true.
knocking all your stuff over. But
Yeah.
did you kind of like target this, like you named it Gateway Plus or Plus Plus? Like, did you target that from the get-go? Did you kind of like fall into that like complexity level?
Yeah. I definitely think it's like I think that was our initial goal coming out of it. It's definitely gotten very like, I think as we've designed it and played it so many times, we're like, oh, what if it had this? What if it had this? What if it had this? And we realized we were like leaning really, it was becoming very complicated. And so we started scaling it back.
The game got to a point where it was like, it was done, but then it's like, well, what if we added in, a reserve dog mechanic? What if we added in more hidden goals, like asymmetric stuff? We started adding that stuff in, and then we would playtest the game, and it's been playtested hundreds of times by over 50 or 60 people. And what we started to notice was, like, they'd play the core game, but they really wouldn't use those mechanics. And they just kind of ignore the fact they were there. And so towards the end, we trimmed on both edges. We just trimmed everything off that was kind of like unnecessary. And it brought it back to like exactly what it was supposed to be.
Yeah. But we've really designed it in a way where it's, because I love these type of games where you can pick up on the rules really quickly, but the mastering it is going to take time. And I think there's always room. Like, I think new people coming to the game, they'll be able to work their way through it. They'll be able to play it and have fun. But I think seasoned gamers are also going to love it because there's like a lot of challenge and growth in the game as well.
One of the things that I noticed when I was playing is kind of what you were talking about, where you love a game with theme, and the theme just oozes from this game, right? I think the box art, talk to me about the box art. I know the story behind it, but it is gorgeous. And if you haven't seen it, then a link or whatever. But
so before I talk about the box art, I want to like wind backwards a little bit. I was sitting in jury duty, and it was it
as
was
one does,
incredibly unexciting jury duty. Unfortunately, it was like exactly the kind of lawsuit that shouldn't exist. And we're just like sitting there. And this guy next to me is like doodling on his iPad, and he's drawing a picture of Batman. And it was a pretty darn good picture of Batman. I was like, hey, that's a pretty cool picture of Batman. And he's like, thanks, I work for DC Comics. So I kept in touch with him. We like went to Chipotle during the like jury duty breaks and got his number and stuff. And then a year later, I was like, hey, I see you're doing freelance now. You want to like work on this board game project? So we got him to do the box cover for Bark Avenue. And he actually came back and did the event cards and the board as well, which he did everything in kind of a comic booky New York style, which worked out really, really well. So we kind of leaned into that like comic book feel for like the event cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is
but
really cool.
the street on the cover of Bark Avenue is your street, is it not?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like where we live, and our building is on it, and our sweet pup Emma is in the center. So she is walking with there's two other dogs with her, but she's proud in the center.
They're leaping out at the cover, kind of like if you've seen that Big Hero 6 poster where they're all like flying at the cover.
So
it's like that.
Yeah, that's weird, going for the feel of like motion in the box cover and stuff. But
yeah. So that Kickstarter, I don't remember if I said it before, but if not, then we'll just, or if I did, I'm just going to keep repeating myself. That is going to be on May 23rd is when it goes live. 24th. There's going to be a link. 24th? Yeah, that's what I said. 24th is when
Numbers
it goes
are
live. But you can go anytime before May 24th and sign up to get notified. There's going to be a link in the show notes and the show description. So go check it out. I think it's a hilariously fun game. That was probably not the right adjective. I think it's a great game.
Well, there are squishy poops in the game, so
the squishy poops, and that's where my mind went when I said hilarious, because it's what was it? It's the only game where a crappy roll is a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
John's catchphrase.
I say that never teach. You roll the dice and a poop shows up. That's great.
Yeah, because you want your dogs to poop, and it's just great. I think my favorite thing is when you have to roll. It's the pigeon dice, and whichever way the arrow is pointing, that's the way your dog runs. And
that's the way you're going.
Yeah, it's just great. The theme is great. The art is fantastic.
Yeah, and about the dice, like we wanted to have like a minor amount of luck, but we didn't want it to be a thing that's like, you're totally dependent on that luck. So there is a city die and a park die. So you want your dogs to poop. It's like a nice thing that gets you a bonus. But if you're in the city, you roll the city die, which makes it much less likely they're going to poop. You might just get like a puddle or something. But if you're in the park, that's a loaded die. And in fact, one of the sides has the golden nugget, which is actually like a shiny gold poop, which means like all your dogs poop. But if you've ever like sat on a street corner and been like, go potty, that's the feeling you get when round after round you can't roll the right thing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. So with the Kickstarter going live, I know that there's sometimes some fun, like kind of Easter eggs or stretch goals or just like fun things that happen with the Kickstarter. Do you have anything exciting planned for that?
Yeah. So we will have some stretch goals that are unveiled as the campaign is going on.
Nice.
But one thing that will be unveiled, it won't be a stretch goal, it'll be unveiled as soon as the Kickstarter opens, is that you will have the opportunity to get your dog in the game. And that it's not just a personal card. It is going to be included in everybody's copy of the game. But we're doing
that's awesome.
Yeah. So we're doing it in a unique way to make sure it's balanced. Do you want to explain more about that?
So the art is going to be done by April, who is the artist of Flourish. If you've played that game before, she's absolutely amazing. But she used to be a like pet portrait painter before that. Cool. She's so good at making a dog spot on. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to get pictures of the dog, front, side, profile, some personality details. So we're going to have like a little survey for you to take. Do they like to fetch? Do they like to run? Do they drag it? They're like really slow.
Nice.
So we're going to know details about your dog. And what we love most, I think, is like we want the dogs to feel like they're really your dog. So your dog's not going to be paired with mechanics that like don't match your dog. Now we've already designed the 60 dogs. We don't have to design anything or balance anything, but we will slot them into the dog that most closely represents your dog's behavior, which I think will be really fun.
Adorable.
Yeah. That is awesome. So sorry, go for it.
No, I was just gonna say. So how it's gonna work is, it will be a limited number. So it'll be first come, first serve for the dogs. And it's going to be divided up into 3 tiers. And we're going to have a small category, a medium category, and a large category. And will be based on size because we like weight. So we want to make sure that we have a wide variety of dogs in the deck for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah. And then we'll also have a couple, like we've already gotten a couple dogs made.
Yes.
And then we'll also have like kind of some placeholders for, getting some of those classic New York breeds in. If we, if no one gives us an Afghan hound, we still have to have one in it. So
nice. Yeah. Oh, that's so fun. So it's first 60 people that pledge that at that.
Yeah. Well,
it's going to be less than 60.
It's going to be a little bit less than 60.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because you got to get Emma in there, right?
Yeah. Our dog Emma
so
is in
we
it.
also have, there are going to be 7 of those dogs are going to be foster dogs. So there is a mechanic in the game where you can walk a foster dog. You don't get paid. You do get a little bonus, but the big thing is that you will get the next star on your review track, which is how you unlock more abilities to kind of accelerate your dog walks. So the foster dogs are going to represent 7 real foster care centers in New York City. And they're actually going to have pictures of like paintings of real dogs from New York City foster care centers. Yeah. So we already have a couple of them, like Rockland is one that we've been working with, who's going to be an awesome dog in the game.
And those will be, we're going to talk about those foster care centers in our Kickstarter page. And then a blurb about each foster care center represented is going to be in the rule book as well.
That's such a great idea, guys.
That's so great. Yeah,
that's
incredible. I love it.
Thanks.
So is there a best dog?
Is there a best dog? Honestly, the best dogs are going to be the ones who are kind of medium speed. They get along with everybody, and they're like medium size. That's like the best kind of dog, because like there's slow dogs. There's like small dogs who don't like big dogs. They're like real annoying.
Yeah.
But the easy ones, this is twofold. The easy ones are not going to give you as much money. So
That's
any
true.
dog that has a complication with it, you will get paid
the
more.
Owner knows.
The
owner. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's great. Yeah. I was very good in my playtest about picking one dog and walking that dog. I did not do a great job at multitasking. So it was,
that's what we've noticed about people who play lots of games who have play tested our game. They want to optimize getting the perfect walk, and you can do that by getting them to poop. taking a picture of them for the owner and doing their favorite activity. So you go play fetch, you go do all that, and then you realize you wasted all this time when you could have been walking other dogs. And so it's a balance for sure.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And then you have to deal with all the events, and it's really exciting. I'm really excited to get the final copy in my hands and play it. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah. So talking, take us into like design a little bit. So like when you're starting out, you have all of these ideas running around, right? You have like this great concept, you know, like what you want it to be like, what you want it to end up looking like. So how are you working through like organizing your thoughts and ideas? Like how does the game go from a list of like random thoughts that you've had over the last year or two into something that actually is starting to resemble mechanics in a rule book or whatever?
Yeah, we always joke because the first day we came up with it, we're like, oh, we did it. We wrote out a rule book and we're like, that's it. We're done. That was easy. And then we tried playing it. We're like, oh, okay. Maybe this
it was awful. It was not even playable. We got through one turn.
But that being said, the heart of it is still always there.
It's still the same game.
It's still the same game. We didn't check it out. We're like, okay, well, how are we going to fix this? Because we love the concept so much. And the first prototype, I drew the basic sketch of the game on like a piece of paper. And then I think our first prototype was like on Amazon boxes I cut up. So it was like a giant board. And, but
rapid prototyping.
Yeah, I still have it. Emma ate part of it, but yeah, I think the heart of it is still there. But basically, what we were saying earlier, I think it's deciding like what is like the good parts of the game that help enhance people's experience, not just a design mechanic we really enjoyed.
Yeah,
I think
and also
was the hard part.
You cannot like stress enough like the importance of playtesters at all phases of the game. So you get your friends to play it first because they get the rough version, and then you kind of watch as it goes on, and you really have to observe and just kind of listen. The types of questions people ask when they ask something 2 or 3 times in a row, like, wait, can I really do that? It may mean that something's really unclear there. Or like when you kind of just see where their intuition goes, and if that doesn't line up with the rule set, maybe there's something that's not intuitive about your game. And so you don't have to follow all the advice. Like they're going to give you crazy advice too. Like someone told us like, you should, when you pass another walker, your dog should fight each other. And then you get in trouble with the owner.
Oh geez.
We're like, nope. So you don't listen to everything they say, but
So what's been like the biggest change or the biggest piece of advice that you've implemented during this playtesting period?
Yeah, I think that probably the biggest thing was
the walk tracker.
The walk tracker, I think just that came over time. It got a lot better. But I think the thing that was most confusing when the game started out, during a turn, you move around the board and you do actions. So you play fetch, you do things like that. And it started out as an action point system game, meaning like if you had 5 points of action points, you would go 1, 2, 3, fetch, 5, one of yours would be play fetch in the middle of your movement. And so that was really hard for people to track. And, you got to move some tokens, you got to do this stuff. It got kind of confusing. And so the main thing that we implemented was we said, you're going to roll the city or park die, you're going to move around the board, and then you're going to do an action in whatever neighborhood you end up in. And it used to be that individual spaces gave you actions. We then broke it up into neighborhoods where it's like, these 4 spaces all give you the same actions. And when we sort of like grouped and simplified it, so it's just roll, move, action, it became so much more intuitive. And so that was something we tried out and we never looked back as soon as that worked.
I would say that definitely. And it used to be, what do you call it, where it's like a graph system?
It used to be a grid, where like a dog would be at a specific space, like they'd be at A3, C9 or A4. And now we have 16 neighborhoods. They're color coded. They're shapes. They're easy to find.
Because during the game, different dogs will come available in the market, and you have to go and pick them up. So I think that was one of the hardest parts: is how do we lay out a realistic version of Manhattan, but make it feasible to go and pick up those dogs
Yeah.
where you're not, because we had to dial it back and not make it like, at first I designed it so like you would stop at every single house along like a block. I was like, okay, this is getting way too much.
So just for an idea of scale, what you see on the board is a blown up version of Manhattan, but the buildings that are represented, at least the famous ones like the Lincoln Center and stuff, it's representing 50 blocks north to south and 8 avenues like west to east. So it's a lot of streets. So we wanted to we wanted to show sort of like all the different neighborhoods, and I think we captured it really well.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So before you took it to playtesters and you wrote out the design rules, you took that first turn and you said, no, this isn't for us yet. How many times did you all, the two of you, sit down and play before you showed it to somebody else?
Yeah. I was like, because I was really nervous with the first time we showed it to someone else, because like it, to be honest, like, because like musical theater had come to a halt. I'd like thrown myself into this project, and so it was like really terrifying. And I used to like knock at Johnathan's door like at 4 p.m. every day, be like, it's time to work on, it didn't have a name then, the dog game. It was Cold Walk. And so it was kind of just like meeting every single day, and even for 15 minutes and talking about it. I would say it was like a month and a half before, 2 months before we showed your family. 2 months
of like a playable game, like 6 months of an idea.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a lot of work.
It is. Yeah, and I really respect what you're saying there. Like, I'm sure that there's a lot of effort, and it's a very personal game for you, right? It has like a very personal like theme, and your dog is in it, So there's like there's a lot of pride in that, and you're kind of having to go walk into prototyping and say like, this game is messed up, like it doesn't, like we know coming into this that there's parts of it that don't work, and that's what you have to help us figure out or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure that takes an element of bravery.
Yeah, definitely. Sure. I was like so scared. Like the first time I like laid the game down for like, it was Jonathan's family, so I knew they weren't gonna like be like, oh, this sucks. But but I was like, oh, like please like it, because I felt so passionate about it.
Sure.
Were
you laying down cardboard cutout Amazon boxes in front of them?
That's what it was.
Did. They played on an Amazon. They were good sports, and they played with paper cards. And at the time, in the game, you'll see there's like paw prints that you track the rounds, and they had pennies to play with, so it was like heads up and heads down. That
was crazy. Now, one of the coolest things, the best gift that we got was my sister-in-law. She's like really crafty, and she has like resin and all this stuff, and so she actually made molds of dice and then made resin dice for us that she then like heat glued on the like sides and stuff, and so we had like almost production worthy dice like really early on, and I think that helps a lot. That was really cool.
That's sweet.
Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah. Okay, so you have this idea, you've built it out, you've play tested it, you've shown it to the first couple of people, you've gotten the all the play testing, all the reviews kind of together. It's starting to form, and you've got this art from this jury duty that you've been working on, right? So
American justice system at work.
Yeah. When did you all decide it is time to take this to Kickstarter? Like, what was the triggering moment that you're like, now?
So we know how insane like the pandemic has been for shipping and manufacturing, and like the queue times at the factories, and like then getting on a boat. If you've like tried to like buy anything, like even toilet paper recently, there's just like outages of everything. And so we wanted to make sure that when we went to Kickstarter, the game was ready, because we had a strong conviction that like we wanted them to know like it's in line, it's going to be printed, and you'll get it as soon as you get it, but it's not our fault if it's delayed. And so because of that, especially this being like our first big production as TerreDice, we wanted to have a finished game. So you're going to see a like 99% finished rulebook when the Kickstarter launches. You're going to see all that, and I think that's what's going to propel us forward in this Kickstarter.
I will say that I respect Kickstarters significantly more if they have a fleshed out rulebook. right? It is hard for me to back a Kickstarter when they're like, the rule book is coming. I'm like, I don't know.
Feels like you
I'm
should
buying
have that.
minis. I feel like I'm buying minis at this point, and I don't want to buy minis. So that's awesome. So. Were there any last second changes? Are there going to be any last second changes,
That's a great
or is it kind of
question.
fleshed out like right now?
Yeah. So there are.
Two-player version?
Yeah. So basically, the only major change that we made is the 2-player version. So we play games 2-player all the time, and we think it's really important that if a game is going to say 2-player on the box, that it really plays well 2-player. And the board is just a little bit too open for a 2-player game. It's like I could be on the west side and Mackenzie could be on the east side. We never interact. So we made a change probably a couple months ago where we said 2-player, you're only going to play on one side of the board, one neighborhood. So when you play 2-player, you pick west or east. You filter out those dog cards. It's pretty easy to filter them. And then you just play the west side or you just play the east side. And so we made that change. And so that means you get rid of like 3 hidden goal cards and you play on one side. And it's great. It made the 2-player mode so tight. And so
I would say the only other thing, so the 2-player version is done. It's ready to go. The only other part that we're still working on, we have a guest solo designer working on the project with us, so we'll be able to play a solo.
Cool.
And
Very cool.
I'm really excited about it, but that will be unveiled during the Kickstarter. But that's probably the only part we're still fleshing out on how that solo mode's going to work.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah. And from someone who plays a lot of 2-player games, I appreciate it needs to play well at 2 players to put it on the box.
Yeah.
There are a couple of games out there that
Look at
say
you,
2 player.
Wonders.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
2 players. Wait, 7 Wonders says 2-player on the board.
I don't know.
You play with a dummy player.
No.
You just set up another player and you play it.
No,
We
dummy
don't
player.
have 2 players.
I cannot play 2-player games where I have to run a robot. This is you're playing just the 2 of you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And the solo, the Automa is also going to be, we also are making that our solo designer, so you don't have to do a lot of housekeeping and basically play by another person. You won't really have to do that.
Yeah, Jacqueline's designed games before. She has a game, Pack the Essentials.
You haven't introduced her. Do you want to say?
Yeah. So her name's Jacqueline Atkins. She runs Pudgy Cat Games on Instagram, and then she also she has a game, Pack the Essentials, that's like won awards at contests and stuff. And she plays solo games, I think, daily. So we always see her. She's like, I'm on a plane, so I'm playing Three Sisters by myself. And so it's like she has so much experience with this, and her solo mode is so tight in her game. So we're like, yes, we need your help. And she's a New Yorker. She lives in Upper West Side as well. So
very cool.
Really glad to have her on the team.
I think that's something that we've seen a rise in since the pandemic is solo gameplay. Where before 2020, I was like, I don't want to do that. And now, I've played hundreds of games solo. So
I think you have more hours on solo games than
that's probably true. That's actually very fair. But it's great to hear that there's going to be a solo component to it. So that's really exciting.
Yeah.
What else do you want to tell the people about Bark Avenue, about designing? Do you have any advice or inspirational words for someone who's setting out to design a board game that wants to get on Kickstarter someday?
Yeah. I don't know. Some advice I heard was like you can't wait for motivation because you aren't going to be motivated every day for the project. And so what really helped us is just like setting a time every day or every other day where you sit down and just like work on it. Even if like you don't even know like what to work on, you just start doing something and you set that allotted time and then you start chipping away with it because you can't get into a spiral where you're just like, oh yeah, I'll do it. Oh, I'll just think about it. Because at the beginning stages, it's really scary like to think about an idea, but then to actually like sit down with a pen and paper and be like, well, I have no idea how this is going to work. So there's a lot of like, I don't know, failing at the beginning and being okay with that.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So if anyone's out there that wants to design a board game, set time aside. That's really good advice. Not only just for board games, but I think for any project.
Yeah.
Right. Like you make time for it and it'll come. Right. It's discipline and it's practice, and that helps kind of get those juices flowing.
Yeah.
And get you going. So excellent.
Yeah. Because Nelson, I don't know, like how many games you and I have at some point thrown up a concept for on a whiteboard. I feel like it's in the realm of like 3 to 5, but like none of them ever get past that point, right? Because at some point you go like, this is fun to talk about, but like, I don't want to do this.
And there's something funny I heard about that. So like, I was worrying in the beginning. I think every designer worries this the first time they're like working on a thing like a board game. They're like, do we trademark our idea? Do we start to try to figure out what our copyright situation is? And the thing that I found was someone said, please, take my idea and make it a game so I can play it without having to design it. It's like, it is so hard to make a game. If you have to have the passion in it, you have to be the one who's got the buy-in.
Yeah. And I really don't know if it wasn't for the pandemic. Like, it's like, it really make me have that time and make Johnathan, me have the time to be like, Johnathan, let's meet now. You have no choice. Let's meet.
It's helpful that you can like knock on the door and it's like, you're done working now.
I know.
You just have to come home or something.
Yeah. Perks of being married and we were both stuck at home together.
Right. Yeah. Oh man, excellent.
Yeah, that's the other good advice. Yeah, if you want to design a board game, you just missed the boat. Actually, you should have done it in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Get married to your co-designer.
Yes.
That's right.
Excellent. Well, this was an absolute blast having you on. Thank you so much for talking about TerreDice. Again, you can find all the contact information and the links below. I say that because I now do YouTube, and so I always joked early on in the podcast.
I know
about click the link below, and now that I actually have YouTube, I'm conditioned to say click the link below, and so it's non-ironically
you've become
now
what you hate. Yeah.
So smash that
in the
subscribe
description.
button.
Right.
Yeah, smash that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. Anyways, but. Thank you for talking about TerreDice. Thank you for talking about Bark Avenue. Thank you for talking about starting out the exposition of designing a board game. I wish you the best success in the Kickstarter. I will be probably not one of the first 60 because I'm going to miss that boat, and also I don't have a dog. But but I will be definitely a backer, and I look forward to playing the final copy. It's going to be exciting.
Thanks so much, and thanks for having us on.
Thank you guys for running such an awesome podcast. We really like you guys.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Awesome.
Well, excellent. You can find TerreDice anywhere that you listen to YouTube videos, and cheers, everybody.
Cheers.